Hey, man.
What's up?
What's going on?
Hey, it's our 300th
episode
person baptized. That's what this is about. We baptized
300
at
souls.
TILLN Church. We baptized 300 people this year.
And you sowed a seed on Patreon to make that happen.
Thanks for happening.
Yeah,
no, this is our 300th episode. We did it.
We've been doing this for a while.
We did it. It's our 300th episode.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. We're finally going to do it.
But we're not going to tell you what it is.
I'll tell you what it is. We're finally going to do it. We're going to kiss. We're going to kiss. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. This week's sponsor is Fantastic Caverns.
What is so crazy is that they were testing these in the same desert in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah. So they're out there and they're like, okay, it's really hard to do the calculations for this bat bomb when all those big, gigantic, never heard before booms are happening over there. Things I learned last night. TILLN it.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about what just happened.
We're a sloppy wet podcast, by the way.
No.
Unforeseen.
That was unforeseen and sloppy wet. It was both.
300 more.
Oh, no.
Hey, when we do our 400th episode, we'll do it shirtless. I tried to convince Tim before we started this today. I said, hey, don't you remember us making that joke a long time ago that if we ever got to 300 episodes, we would do it shirtless? And he was like, no.
No, I don't remember
He's been doing that vitamin D.
I've been doing that vitamin D.
So his memory's not as bad.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm saying when we get to 400.
All right, whatever. We got to get fit. We got 2 years to get fit.
I don't need 2 years. I'll do it now. I'm not a wuss. I'm fit now.
I was a little. I was somewhat, almost, sort of fit.
Do you remember the moment that sparked
line.
our fitness journey?
Yes, yeah, very clearly. That was one of the worst moments. It was yeah, that was brutal.
Alex, you know which moment sparked our fitness journey? It was when we got paid to go to Google Play, and then they put us in cycling outfits, and like the most revealing I felt.
They were so tight. It was like skin tight spandex.
Ugh.
And I thought I was like decently in decent shape, and then I looked at myself in that.
I don't know why they made us do that.
Yeah, and so then the next year we came back and we were in pretty good shape.
We
were ready for
preparing for crazy costumes, and they didn't give us any crazy costumes.
We spent the whole year like, guys, like, I have abs now.
I literally told them, I was like, guys, I'm kind of hot.
Yeah, and you purposely, like, I think they expected us to still, like, not have good bodies.
And I was like, they're hot now.
They're like, bummer. And that's why they haven't called us
That's
back.
why I've been trying to put on more weight.
That's why they canceled the
We've
whole
been trying to get out of shape so we get booked again for Google Play. Izzy, if you see this.
We're fat again.
I'll be fat for you.
Anyways,
anyway, what topic you got today? Is it a good one?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the bat bomb?
The bat bomb?
The bat bomb.
No.
Oh, well, do I have a show for you?
Bum, bum, bum.
I think we need to start this story by talking about this guy, Dr. I don't know how to say this name. Lytle. Little? That's his first name.
Lytie?
Lytle. Dr. Little S. Adams. It might be Little or Lytle.
So this is what, the 1800s?
This was probably the early 1900s.
Early 1900s? Yeah, that was like their way of being like Little.
Oh, so you're saying he was like Little John.
That's Little Bow Wow. The 1900s. This
is the 1900s version of Little Bow Wow.
So just for audio listener, it's like a professor looking guy in the 1900s, and he's wearing a bow tie and a suit, and he's got a piece of paper that he's looking at.
And everything.
And he looks very professional, but he also goes by Little
Adams.
Dr. Little Adams. Oh, yeah. I'm Little Adams.
Dr. Little Adams.
I'm trying to figure out how to blow up some bats.
So Dr. Little Adams He was an interesting
He's
guy.
got a pretty high forehead. I'm worried that I'm going to be balding up here soon. So I'm trying to figure out, like, if my hair looked like that, I'd be fine, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean...
Like, my hair doesn't look like that, does it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I can't say he didn't lose it all. Like he's got bangs.
Yeah, but it's pretty high up. It's pretty high. And look, he's messing with bats.
Yeah.
You're giving it away.
Well, obviously, the name of the episode is Bat Bomb.
He's going to blow that bat up.
So he's got something to do with bats. And I think I just broke my toenail. Anyways, so he...
No, keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Dr. Little
don't
S.
offer
Adams.
any context or idea of how that could have happened.
I don't know.
No, just push through.
I might have pinched a nerve in my toenail. I don't know. My toenail hurts really bad, and nothing happened.
Do you want to check it out?
It looks fine. It just hurts.
Yeah, then don't say stuff out loud. Don't be like, I think I just cut my toe off.
I don't know. It hurts.
Well, Dr. Little, he's got bats. I think I just cut my toe off. And he's been working. You can't just say that and then try to move on.
Yes, I can. What do you think this is?
All right.
Fine, let me put my socks and shoes back on. Okay. So Dr. Little S. Adams, he was a dentist in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
And a pretty run-of-the-mill dentist. He was born in the late 1800s, 1880s to be exact. Practiced dentistry, did everything that dentists normally do, right?
Okay.
Extracting teeth, cleaning teeth, looking at teeth. I don't think he x-rayed teeth, so I don't think they had that yet.
Touching teeth.
Touching teeth. You got good teeth. But he also was an inventor.
If I was a dentist, I think I would call myself a tooth teller. Oh, I'm a tooth teller.
I'm a tooth teller. Yeah, I like that.
That's pretty cool.
What do you do? Oh, I'm a tooth
And my
teller.
billboards all over town would
teeth.
say, you can't handle the tooth. You know what I'm saying? And my ads on TV would be me being like, you can't handle the tooth. You know? My radio ads would be me going, hey, come on down to my dentist's office. I'm Jaron Myers, a dentist. See, it's always subverting expectation.
Yeah,
That's like comedy is. Yeah. I'm very good at this.
So Little was a dentist by day, but at night he was an inventor. He was an inventor at night.
Dentist by day.
Yeah.
It's my new Threads bio.
Dentist by day. But at night, he invented stuff. He was a serial inventor. He had a lot of patents. Only a handful of them actually took off. One of them, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to show you a diagram of this in a second so we can try to figure out how this works.
Sure.
But one of them that actually took off, he was also an amateur pilot, so he liked to fly around.
Big fan.
And one of his inventions was he noticed that there were rural communities in the United States that just did not have consistent mail service from the U.S. Postal Service because they were just so far remote. And so he invented this airmail system where it was called the continuous airmail system. And essentially, it was a series of cables and catapults that would allow a plane to fly over and just catch the mail. I don't understand how it works, but here's a diagram, and let's see if we can figure it out. This is the continuous airmail system. And so you'll see there's the mail plane flying over.
There's a catapult involved.
Yeah, it's got a contact cable. And at the end of the contact cable, there is like a little steel ball. I do know that. I don't know if it shows it in the diagram. But it has a mailbag attached to it. And so that mailbag comes through.
Okay.
And when it hits, that mailbag is released and falls into the chute. All the incoming mail. And then it triggers a catapult. And there's the outgoing mailbag on there. And I guess the catapult just shoots up to the airplane and the guy's supposed to catch it or something.
No. Okay, so you can see how the slot guides contact cable from wide entrance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the cable comes in, and then hitting that, like where it's in this thing, releases the bag that it has, which then opens the latch for it to collect a new bag. As it's coming up this side of the collection bin, as you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
That catapult is not catapulting into the air. It's literally
it to
like,
the cable.
Here's the side of the thing. This cable's going to run up the side of this. It's literally just connecting it here.
Just hitting the cable.
It's connecting it, boom.
To the cable.
So that way, when it hits here, you can see in the corner that's where it's not catapulting it up to the plane. It's
catapulting it to the
cable.
cable.
Catapult is probably not the best word there, but it just like a nutcracker closing.
Yeah.
Brings the chin up to the mouth.
So it's similar to those the sign planes that fly by.
It's the same latch that's doing the picking up a sign.
Just with mail bags.
Yes.
And then I guess what happens from here is it flies to a local post office, drops off that bag, picks up a new one, and then flies over to some other remote place.
Probably lands at some point.
I don't think it lands. It's the same thing that they had with Operation Chrome Dome, where this was just airborne 24/7.
So
it
that
also
is
carried nukes.
So that is interesting. I mean, in San Francisco, when we were in San Francisco, every day at noon, there's one of those planes that flies around with a banner that it says high noon, the seltzer.
Yeah.
And every day at noon, it's flying around.
High noon. Interesting.
That's cool. So good marketing.
That's expensive.
But also, that's how we knew what time it was. We were walking around San Francisco and we'd see him and go, oh, it's lunchtime.
It's seltzer hour.
It's noon.
It's time for seltzer.
And it would be like 11:55. We're like, wow, okay, they really honestly
got there right on. That's crazy. That's crazy that's your job. Like to just every day.
And if you forget, you're like, if you're late.
Yeah. I'm running late for my noon. I've got a very serious, important appointment. I can't miss my important appointment.
300 episodes in, he still tries, man. I appreciate that. I respect
it. Nobody will know what time it is if it weren't for me. This guy doesn't know that nobody has clocks. He thinks he's the only way anyone knows. Stop looking at the clock. He's looking for the plane. He can't see the plane. He doesn't know what time it is. We're inside.
Exactly 12 minutes.
That's why they put skylights in buildings.
You see how he just goes? What are you doing? Tell the story. Why are you like, that's why they put skylights in? And really, what is a skylight but a hole in the ceiling? Like, stop.
So he also...
If you don't stop Tim, he will not stop. It's very fun to watch.
Anyways, so... He invented that, and that actually got adopted. Like
this episode's brought to you by Blue Apron, by the way.
Because of
I'm just hoping we get a sponsor by this time comes out. And I'll be like, all right, hey, this is brought to you by Blue Apron. We just dropped our podcast network. I'll talk some crap. We sent an email, and we were like, hey, Tim sent the email. He's very nice and professional, and he goes, hey, we went out. And they responded like, "Oh, we'd love to set up a call to know, more about what we could do to help better the relationship." And then Tim emails back and is like, "Here's some times." And then that guy emailed back and was like, "Oh, it looks like it was all full." So anyway, back and forth for 3 weeks. They weren't selecting any times. Finally, I sent an email this week that said, "No need for a call. We asked to be released weeks ago. Please start transfer by Friday." And you know what happened within hours?
Yeah, we got the transfer done.
We got the email, and they were like, okay, we'll pass you over to Chris so he can transfer you.
Yeah.
I've decided that I'm not being nice to people anymore. And that podcast network was your mom's house studios. With old Tommy Segura and Christina P.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
It was Evergreen Podcast Network, who wasn't bringing us ads. And since we've left, we've acquired Blue Apron, Squarespace,
We're just saying,
and the Bible app.
Here's the cool thing about podcast ads is you can just make it up and then go tell them to pay.
Dude, that's the thing. Odd Job Hats.
Send them an invoice.
Odd Job Hats owes me so much freaking money right now.
We'll be invoicing you.
Yeah. Use my promo code. We should give someone else's promo code.
But then they get the revenue.
Yeah, but like, what's Pete Holmes' promo? Join Squarespace with promo code You Made It Weird. That's Pete's podcast.
Pete. Yeah. All right. Anyways, so he invented this thing, and it got picked up.
I went to Pete's house, and Pete has skylights that I was looking through, and I was like, "What are skylights? But holes in the roof." Wow, did previous skylights they didn't think to put glass over it because they just didn't have that.
They just didn't have that.
And back then the plane would reach through with its claw. It would try to grab mail, but then it would grab babies and drop the kids off at different places, and that's how the myth of the stork started. You see how dumb your bits are?
The mail planes were taking babies.
The female planes were making them, and the male planes were tanking them.
So his little continuous mail bag delivery system got adopted by a handful of places.
Oh, did it for real?
Yeah, a bunch of post offices throughout the country.
Do we have pictures of what those like? Because they would still have those in like a museum, right?
I mean, it wasn't widely used. It was. Like
I know, but that contraption would probably still exist. No?
I would think so, but like this was the only diagram I was able to find of it, the continuous mailbag delivery system or whatever. So it wasn't like. It wasn't something that we have like a good large record of.
Sure.
He also invented this pellet air seeding system, which think of it kind of like flyover crop dusting, but with actual like seeds. And so you fly over the seed from the sky. He invented that. I think a lot
of stuff he was just trying to figure out how to use planes.
Yeah, he's like the plane's cool.
He's like, this has got it. I gotta figure out how to make money with this. Like that's 100% what that is.
The FAA wouldn't let him fly, and so he's like, I gotta figure out a different way. And so he was inventing a bunch of stuff. Is really the point.
Okay,
he's always inventing, coming up with new ideas. Most of his inventions went nowhere, except for these three. So we've hit two of them. And then on early December 1941, he goes to New Mexico for vacation. And while in this trip to New Mexico, he goes to, let me get you the name of them. I mean, here's the thing. He picked New Mexico for his vacation. Not a lot of things to do in New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah.
And so he goes to Carlsbad Caverns. Think of Fantastic Caverns without the fantastic. And while he's in there,
you don't know what that is. Did you ever go to Fantastic Caverns?
Yeah. Fantastic Caverns, if you don't know, north of Springfield, there are these caverns that have a lot of stalactites and stalagmites.
Let me do it. This week's sponsor is Fantastic Caverns, a cave system just north of Springfield, Missouri. Hey, if they can afford all those billboards, they can afford us for sure.
Yeah, they got billboards.
But it's is it America's first or America's only ride through cave?
It's the only
ride through cave where you
have little jeeps.
Yep, little jeeps that are electric, and you sit in this long tram and they drive you through this cave. It's very cool.
It's actually really, really cool. And there's one part where you have to like lay down in the jeep because the ceiling's so low. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, stalactites, stalagmites, the whole thing. He goes through one of these, not a drive-through cave, not very fantastic, honestly. Probably well, I guess this is just after the Prohibition, so maybe there's the like remnants of because they have a speakeasy. They had a speakeasy at Fantastic Caverns, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. And so, anyways, goes through the whole thing. While he's there, he sees all these bats, and he's like, "Man, bats are cool, aren't they?" Like, and so he's thinking about bats all day, but he's in the cave.
Bats. My wife saw me smiling on my phone the other day and thought I was cheating on her or looking at Blue Room Comedy Club Downfall. And I was like, no, I'm just looking at pictures of bats.
I'm just thinking about the bats.
Just thinking about bats.
Excuse me?
I'm just thinking about bats.
Honestly, that's worse.
I'm just thinking about bats.
What are you doing over there?
I'm just thinking about bats.
I don't understand this bit. What are you doing? What is this?
I'm just thinking about bats.
Okay. I genuinely can't figure out this bit.
I was trying to get upside down.
Like the Queen.
Oh, yeah. I forgot the Queen sleeps like that. Holy cow. Why'd my voice do that? Yeah, I did a drive-through tour of the Queen's Palace. Skylights. She had them.
She had the skylights everywhere.
So he's thinking about bats. He's in New Mexico with his family. His family's like, man, this is a great time for us to connect and really get to know each other. And he's like, bats.
Yeah. And so they see Carlsbad, whatever. The whole thing happens. And they start their drive home. It was a road trip.
Okay.
And listening to AM radio, coming across the news of Pearl Harbor because that's when they were there. And so he hears this thing and he has this like overwhelming sense of like patriotism. And he's like, I've got to come up with some way that I can help with the war. Like we're obviously going to war.
Okay.
We gotta fight back. This can't go unresponded to. And so he's thinking about bats. He's thinking about Pearl Harbor, thinking about war. what can we do? And so he says, you know what?
What are you smiling about over there? Just thinking about Pearl Harbor. What?
Excuse me? And so he gets back home and he's like, you know what? I think the world this is important information that I've got. And I know something.
About what? About bats?
About bats. So he has a theory. Here's where he gets. He's like, I have a theory that if we create a bomb that was essentially, we took out all the insides of a bomb and we filled it with 20,000 bats.
That's what I thought a bat bomb was going to be. I'm glad that this is what I thought a bat bomb was going to be. I was like, there's no way this, yeah, you know what? There is a way that this guy is probably going to try to drop a bunch of bats in one place. Hey, join us on Patreon if you want this to be ad-free. And also, there's a bunch of other perks. You get to, all episodes are ad-free. You get next week's episode right now. And you get to do monthly hangouts with me and Tim. Like it's like a virtual just hangout room. And we play games together. We talk. We have show and tell sometimes. We've made a lot of good friends through this. And so it's a really good time to do that. So either way, please share the episode. Tell somebody about it. These are all those ways to help us grow the show because we love doing it. And we want to keep doing it. So thanks for being here. And like, of course, a stupid person would go, what if we just filled a gigantic ball full of bats? Like 20,000 bats.
Well, here's the thing.
And like, of course, half of them are going to die in transit.
It was not just that we're going to put a bunch of bats in the bomb. Because here's the thing. While he was on the tour, they talked about the bats in the cave. And the tour guide was like, here's the thing about bats. Bats are very, very little creatures. But they can, being less than 14 grams, they can carry up to 18 grams at a time. And so they're very strong creatures, right? And so so he was like, we can strap explosives to these bats. And then when we drop the bat bomb,
they'll scatter.
They'll fly around and then blow up.
Oh no! I'm glad that we thought it more out because the idea that I thought was probably dumb. Everywhere. But then you explained it further, and I was like, it is dumb.
But then you explained that they're gonna blow up.
Oh,
but here's where it gets better. He's like, but if we could time the explosives where they were on a timer, then what bats do? They roost before dawn every day. So they're gonna fly around the city, and they're gonna find places in attics and on ceilings and under awnings, and they're going to roost in structures all over the city. And then they're going to blow up.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he takes it one step further, and he says, well, actually, he says, bombs are one thing, but what if they're incendiary devices? Because Tokyo is famously a city built out of wood. Every structure there is a wooden structure. And so if we have them all be fire bombs, then we're going to cause a lot more damage more quickly, and he says probably more humane because there's going to be less loss of life, except for the bats.
Okay.
And so he begins kind of putting together this idea of how to use bats for bombs
for terrorism. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so he and here's the thing. We need to adjust, we need to adjust right off the front, right? He wrote a letter, and I'll tell you who he wrote this letter to in a second.
FDR.
He wrote this letter, and in this letter, he knew that some people were going to think that there was like, hey, you're going to kill a bunch of animals with this bomb. That's not a good thing.
No. But
he said in this letter, the bat is the lowest form of animal life. And up until now...
That's not true. That's not true, by the way. Lowest form of animal life is... Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3.
The chupacabra. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say your lizard that you have at your house.
Yeah, that lizard drives me crazy. Anyways, he said that the bats are the lowest form of animal life, and that up until now, reasons for its creation have remained unexplained. And then he went on to like espouse this grand narrative about
the lowest. No, I've got it. I've got it. The lowest form of animal life. Let's say it together on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Realtors.
Great.
We got a bunch of realtors mad at us last time, and I'll tell you what, I couldn't care less. I would love to put 20,000 realtors in a gigantic ball. Because here's the thing about realtors. Here's what they do, right? Is that they get into a community and they start to infuse themselves, right?
They roost.
And they find like 12 people to annoy the heck out of. And so what we could do is we could plant them in little communities, and then we could just get them to be like, hey, do you need a home? Do you need a home? Do you need a home? And then they'll do all the stuff that we want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're super strong.
I don't know if you know this. Realtors are so
I don't know if you know
strong.
this about realtors. They're strong.
They can carry like 4 pounds more than what they weigh.
So, okay, continue as who do you write this letter to?
Okay,
read the letter first.
So he goes on this grand narrative about the creation of bats, and then he closes
about
by
how
saying,
they're start over from the top of like how they're the lowest form.
Yeah, so bats are the lowest form of animal. That up until now, the reasons for its creation have remained unexplained. And then he goes in this grand narrative.
God made them for this.
He goes in this grand narrative about the creation of bats and how they're useless. They've been useless throughout history, and nobody likes them. And then he says that they were created by God to await for this hour to play their part in the scheme of free human existence and to frustrate any attempt of those who dare desecrate our way of life.
He wrote this to the New York Times to be printed in a newspaper, didn't he?
He's like bats exist for us to bomb the Japanese. No, he wrote that to his good friend Eleanor Roosevelt.
I was literally gonna make a joke that he would send it to Eleanor instead of Franklin.
Yeah. So he was good friends with Eleanor Roosevelt. They go way back, and so he wrote this letter.
Are we gonna talk about her pet raccoons? Didn't she have pet raccoons?
She did have pet raccoons. I don't know a lot about that. I do know she had pet raccoons though.
Yeah. Which is tough. Pretty cool.
Have you seen that? Never mind. So he sends this. Thank you. He sends this letter to Eleanor detailing the idea of a bomb made of bats. And then why
I just want to know. I need to learn more about FDR and Eleanor's relationship. You know?
Yeah. So
I'm just so curious.
So he sends that letter, and she reads it, and she's like, "This is convincing. This is pretty." He makes a good point.
Bats do suck. That's the central premise. Is you kind of have to start with bats or bad.
Have to suck with you start with we hate bats.
You know?
Yeah. Yes I can. Yeah. Yes. So she reads the letter, and then she sits down at the dinner table and she says, "Frankie, I got this letter today."
Frankie. Do you think she called him that?
I mean, I would be surprised if she called him Franklin.
I think she called him
Mr. President.
Delano. I think it was Delano or Eleanor.
Delano, Eleanor. No, yeah, she called him Mr. President. So she said,
"Oh,
Mr. President."
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you right now, if I got into office, I'd make my wife call me Mr. President. She'd be like, "Yeah, but Jaron, excuse me, I don't know who that is."
Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? I am. I am the one who knocks. I'm just quoting.
Just quoting crazy lines.
Crazy things to her.
So she says,
"Hey, Frankie
Mr. President, I got a letter from an old friend today." And he says, why are you
he
smiling
jealous
like that?
type. Yeah.
And she says, "I think it'll help us with the war effort."
Oh, it's about the bats. And he goes, "I hate the bats." That's a good start.
That's perfect.
She goes, "That's perfect."
Really
you can actually skip to page 3.
Exactly what I'm hoping.
First 2 pages are just about how bad bats are.
And now you know that. You know that whole
She threw
part.
him into the fire. He's doing a fireside chat. She threw him into the fire. She's like, "Okay, here's page 3.
Here's page 3. And so...
I think I need the bottom of page 2 for context. I think
I'm missing part of it.
There you go. So stupid.
This says
This
bats.
is page 1. Gosh.
This says bats are, and then there's some stuff that's a little burnt. Good? I disagree. Okay, no, so it outlines the whole plan of how this is possible, what you're going to do. He's got schematics that he made of like how the bat bomb could work. And so she shows this to FDR.
This is the male guy.
Yeah. She shows this to FDR. FDR knows him too. But like it's more like this is a friend of my wife. So he
Right.
met him. He knows him.
A friend of my wife.
Yeah.
This is more a friend of my wife.
And so he reads it.
Yeah. Sometimes I hate when I gotta hang out with I like most of my wife's friends, but she's got a couple of them that are like, one of them won't shut up about bats, dude. Every time he's over for dinner, he's like, yeah, you know.
So FDR reads the letter, and he's like, "Dang, I think
This is pretty convincing.
And so he
No, I idolize this guy. I like him.
he sends the letter to William J. Donovan, who's the director of the OSS, which is basically the CIA of the time.
Yeah.
And he puts a cover letter on it, and the cover letter is like basically
Bats.
prefacing the letter. And in the letter, he says, "Listen, the man is not a nut." This is a direct quote. "The man is not a nut. It sounds like a perfectly wild idea, but it's worth your time looking into."
Bats. BATS. Bombs and terrorism stuff. It's like B dot, you know what I'm saying?
So, long story short, because FDR signed off on this, the OSS was like, all right, we'll look into it. And so they put together a strategic
Whatever you say, boss.
within the army to begin investigating if this is going to be possible.
Yeah.
So they get a group of engineers together. Coincidentally, they're working in New Mexico, just outside of
The cave.
In Carlsbad, their military base there. And so they start working on.
And how involved is Dr. Little Adams?
Oh, so it's very interesting. They call him and they were like, "Hey, you can come lead the project. Why don't you come down to New Mexico, lead this project?"
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping. Yeah.
So they took him down.
I would hate for the government to take my idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You send it to them and they just start doing it without you. That's pretty brutal. But yeah, they put together this crazy group of people. So
Eleanor, look at the TV. Eleanor, they're doing bad bombs. Eleanor, get in here. They're doing bad bombs.
my bat bombs.
They stole my idea.
Stole my bat bombs. That's a deep callback.
Batbombs.etsy.com.
So they put together this
Bath
group of
bomb.
Oh.
Dude, someone's trying
bombs are
to buy a relaxing night for his wife. Someone's like, what if I get a bath bomb for my wife, right? She's gonna be able to put it in there, just relax. I'm gonna take the kids, we'll leave the house, right?
Yeah.
And he actually goes to batbombs.com. And then he gets it, he doesn't realize, and she puts it in the tub, and they freaking they do what bats do. And he's out with the kids. And she frantically calls and she's like, "There's bats in the house." He's like, "Don't let them roost. They're going to blow up, you know?"
Yeah. So they tell Adams, they say, "Okay, you put together your group of people who are going to work on this project. We'll give you whatever resources you need to be able to build these bombs and test them here in New Mexico." And so Adams assembles his group. And
because somebody has to individually put these little bombs on the little bomb backpacks on these bats, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like an assembly line of like, and they all look like they're going off to bat school.
They got little bomb backpacks. Yeah, I like that. So he puts together a group. He gets a mammologist named Jack Von Blocher.
Okay.
He gets a former hotel manager, a former gangster,
obviously.
a little strange, a scientist, and then a whole group of self-described bat lovers, which I don't think they actually love bats because they're trying to blow them up, but that's a different point.
Did they know that when they signed up for this, though?
Oh, totally. And then actor Tim Holt, for some reason, I think he was just like, "I'd love to have that actor on our team."
We all know Tim Holt.
And he was like a Western. He was an actor in Westerns. This is the early 40s. And so he just was like, "I like that actor. Let's get him on the team." And the government was like, "We can do whatever we want. This is the war." And so
it's wartime.
It's wartime. Everybody's got to be involved. And so it was very clear that
we can do anything as long as you don't tell the people that FDR's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
As long as you keep that secret.
But yeah, so they start working on this project, and I love this quote from this point in the project there by author named Jack Kofer, who wrote the book on bat bombs. And this quote is hilarious. He says, it seemed that none of them had considered the morality or the ecological consequences of sacrificing a few million bats.
A few million.
Yeah. So
yeah, none of them thought if we take these out of this ecosystem, what's that going to do? Yeah.
Because I don't know how far we were in like biological sciences at that point if we recognized like the impact that was going to make on an ecosystem to remove that many bats.
Right.
But anyways, they started working on this project.
Sure.
Right about the same time that this project kicked off, we discovered napalm. And so we started using napalm in weaponry.
Heck yeah.
And so he was like, that is perfect. We need napalm.
Napalm attached to the bats. Woof.
So there's a handful of things that they had to figure out is one, how are we going to get all these bats? How are we going to catch all these bats? So they had to put together a program of, there was people.
You're looking at your enemies in war. Hey, you're going to be real sorry.
You're going to be real sorry once I get all these bats.
4, 5, 1, 2. Just angrily picking bats.
Yeah. There was legitimately a decent sized group of army soldiers who enlisted for the war effort in World War II who got shipped to New Mexico.
Yeah, I served in the war. Really? I saw bloodshed on the front lines. I was at sea. Battleship versus battleship. When I watched those, there's no movies dedicated to my platoon, which was in the caves of New Mexico, picking bats.
Hey, if you love the show, a great way to show support is by getting some merch. We got lots of great stuff. I'm going to showcase some of it right now. This is like our little TILLN QVC. You can get it's a podcast sweatshirt. Very sweet. The nice thing about this is no one knows what podcast you're talking about. So you wear it in public and you can tell them about your Lord and Savior, TILLN podcast. We also got this is one of my favorite things we've ever made. The Fiddle Off Fest hoodie. It's got the devil playing a fiddle. It's not really the devil, it's a skeleton. And then all of the bands on the back of it, like it's a festival, but spoiler alert, these aren't bands, these are jokes from episodes. So worth checking out. And this is one of my favorite things we've ever done. This is for the real fans. This is an old one. We've got a Tim Stone's Get Well Quick Trick shirt, and it's very cool. We got some really good designs. Jaron is good at designing stuff, so support his dream. No one will hire him as a designer, but you can by buying his merch. It's our merch, but it's his designs. And so leave a comment, say, Jaron, you're good at this. We like your art. He really needs it. He needs your support so bad. Please make him feel better about it. And buy some merch. It helps make this show keep happening. You can tell people about how much you love this show with it. So
I was even trying. I was like, all right, I'm going to wait out there and do time.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, you're going to do a 2-minute merch ad.
It wasn't a 2-minute merch ad.
Oh, Jaron's a good designer. Jaron's a good, give him a high five. Like, dude,
make him feel good about his art.
And then you're going to make him listen to 2 minutes of ads? We got to do all that, and then it's going to be like, back to school this fall. Like, no wonder we will hate this thing.
They're skippable ads.
They're not skippable.
They are skippable. Yeah, YouTube Premium. Leave all this in that ad. So they picked the Mexican free-tailed bat species. They sent a bunch of army men. They got permission from the National Park Service.
Crazy.
They were like, hey, we need to take a bunch of bats off of your land. And they were like, it's not like we can say no, is it? And they're like, I mean, no. And so all the soldiers came in and they just started picking up the bats. And they took them back to the military base. And they realized, no, okay, now we got to figure out how we're going to transport these. And they realized pretty quickly, like, if we can't just leave them loose in these bombs, because if they're inside there, they get loose, they start moving around, there's a possibility that they accidentally detonate.
Trigger it.
Yeah, and then there's a catastrophic chain reaction. And we don't want that. So they started, they decided, what if we have a series of basically ice cube trays and we stick them in the ice cubes and then we freeze them. And then
no.
Yeah. And so
the same with the flies.
Yeah, we force them into hibernation, and then when we let them out, they'll wake up on the fall. Like they'll thaw and they'll wake up on the fall and they'll be fine. So they did a test of this. They
Bats did not wake up.
They put a bunch of bats in the ice
just
trays.
dropped a bunch of frozen bats.
They flew them over the desert.
I guarantee I know what happened.
The same field where we tested the atomic bombs. We flew over the desert with this bat bomb, and we dropped this bomb.
They didn't have napalm attached to them at this point.
No, yeah, it was just a test to see.
It was just to drop a couple 100,000 dead bats.
They dropped it. The bomb opened up, and the bats fell out, and they just fell all the way to the ground, and it just was raining bats, and none of them woke up. They were all dead because they froze them to death.
And the government spent your grandparents' hard-earned money on that.
And so they had to figure out a different way to force them into hibernation. They ended up figuring out a different cooling method that would put them out of sleep.
Hibernate.
Go to bed.
Comply.
Comply.
Glug, 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 glug. Zip.
Oh my gosh. Have we talked about how this is making us bald?
It's not making us bald. What are you talking about? Why would you say that?
One of our patrons said that this stuff is making us bald.
Yeah, okay, here's my theory.
Here's the thing. The science doesn't support that. There's actually been a lot of peer-reviewed studies conducted by people not associated with Celsius at all that have said that there is no link.
Yeah, and actually, I'll tell you what, this study that was not funded by Celsius told me that this was the main reason that girls liked me.
Yeah, it's actually saying that it makes me hairier. I literally said that. It said, you're hairier because of this.
This week's sponsor, Bang Energy Drinks.
Bang, bang, baby.
Just Photoshop something over this. No, there was someone sent that in our Discord of like, oh, Celsius is causing hair loss. Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. You got to think about the people who are, and I said this earlier.
Yeah.
You got to think about the people who are choosing to drink Celsius. They're doing it because, it's an energy supplement of like, oh, I need more energy. That means you don't have a stable level of energy or enough to carry through the day, which could be multiple factors like lack of sleep, overworking out, diet's not dialed in. I do it because I like the little boost, but there's multiple factors that could lead to that. So you would have to get people who are identical in their sleep, diet, workout patterns.
Yeah.
That also drink Celsius to see if this is causing us to lose our hair.
Yeah.
I don't think it is though, and the main reason is I don't like that. So you have studies and research, but I have nuh-uh.
Bummer.
I have nuh-uh.
And nothing can beat my nuh-uh.
This is causing you to lose your hair, though.
For me?
Something's doing it.
For you, you're not balding, but for me.
I don't think I'm balding.
Yeah, I don't think you are. No.
Ah!
So they come up with a different plan to cool the bats to a lower degree, like not freeze them, but to get them cool enough where they hibernate, and then take off and go drop them. And then they pared down these bombs. They repurposed bombshells, and so they were actual shells and bombs that they repurposed. They put a bunch of air holes in so that they could breathe.
Sure.
And then they put circular discs all the way across this that could hold a total of 1,000 bats. So they pared it down to 1,000 bats, and each disc would hold a handful of, it was like a 30-inch wide disc. And so each disc would hold a handful of them. And the concept was simple. The bomber would fly over, it would drop this bomb would fall to about 4,000 feet. A parachute would then trigger, and the parachute would lower the bomb to Earth safely. As it was lowering, the side panels of this would open up and release the bats, who are now awake because they fell to a warmer altitude.
Okay.
And then they would wake up and they'd disperse throughout wherever you dropped the bomb. And then with those incendiary bombs, there was a timer on it. So then it would give them enough time to go roost somewhere, get into buildings, get inside places, and then the fires would erupt and it would burn everything. And the idea is you're dropping hundreds of these at a time. So you're flying over, just dropping hundreds of these bombs. And then you've got hundreds of chaos of bats. Yeah. And so something to the effect of this, but imagine all of those were explosive.
Sure.
And so then, of course, they had to figure out the backpack thing. And so they put together a system where these literally just like satcheled to their back. And this looks like they probably...
It looks like a D battery, like a big...
Yeah. It looks like this probably wouldn't be able to fly, but it could fly just fine with them. And so They did a bunch of test drops with these bats into the same wilderness where we tested the nuclear bombs. And after they were able to be like, okay, these are dropping and getting out safely, and now it's time to blow some up. They strapped a bunch of these and they dropped them. And when they dropped them, they dispersed and they flew into the base and they set the base on fire. So
they're like, hey, wait, guys, this works pretty well.
So yeah, 2 hangars caught on fire. The general's car,
crazy.
A couple barracks caught on fire. Here's the thing: this was a top secret project, so no one on base knew about it, knew what was going on, and also
they couldn't tell them.
They couldn't tell them.
Like,
so
all
of a sudden, half the base catches on fire, and there's like bat carcasses there, and they're like, "What's going on?" And no one was able to know.
That's crazy that it worked.
Yeah, it worked great.
Also, what idiots. To be like, let's drop this near. I mean, like, it's gonna burrow into buildings. Let's drop it near ours.
Yeah, let's drop it near ours. Yeah, definitely true. The plan was this, and so yeah, they let that happen. Crazy.
Wow.
So after this, the army was like, "Hey, don't love that," and they were like, "But this is we had a breakthrough. It works. It's working." And the army was like, "Let's transfer this project to the Navy." And they were like, "Okay." The Navy took it. And the Navy didn't have any issues with it like this. This is now 1943, by the way. We're deep into the war.
Sure.
The Navy didn't have any major issues like this, but they pretty quickly, officers of the Navy were like, we think you should go to the Marines. We think this would be better served with...
This seems like some dumb people would do.
And so later that December, it ends up with the Marines. And they had over and over started putting together plans of how they were going to start to utilize these bombs. And one of the main ideas with this was that if you use these incendiary bombs, it causes catastrophic damage, but it causes catastrophic damage slowly. And so that it wouldn't lead to a large loss of human life, but you could destroy civilian centers in the process. And so it would be a large strategic blow without killing a bunch of people. But the government said, we don't like that. We're using the atom bombs instead.
Yeah.
But they went through this whole process. They got the National Defense Research Community to look into the bombs. And what they found from the bombs is that did I say they renamed this Project X-Ray?
No.
Okay, so they renamed it Project X-Ray, and they found that X-Ray was an effective weapon. And they said that regular bombs would probably give somewhere in the ballpark of 167 to 400 fires per bomb load, where we predict that a single X-ray bomb would give 3,625 to 4,748 fires. And so this would be a strong weapon to use. And so more tests ended up being scheduled in mid-1944, and the program was then expected to be something that was deployed in Japan. We are already at this point firebombing Tokyo.
Right.
And so it's like, we're going to use the bats now. It's going to be a cooler firebomb.
Send in the bats.
But something interesting happens, and I don't know if they understood the whole picture, because they don't know the atom bomb is being developed at the same time.
Right.
They think they're developing the super bomb that's going to end the war, which is hilarious.
Where's their movie?
So they think they're working on this.
Badheimer. And it's just a slow-mo shot of him looking up and realizing what he's done. I've destroyed Japan. But also the cave ecosystem of New Mexico.
What is so crazy is that they were testing these in the same desert in New Mexico.
Oh yeah, so they're out there and they're like, okay, it's really hard to do the calculations for this bat bomb when all those big, gigantic, never heard before booms are happening over there. Also, to be fair, one team did destroy half the base, and the other team didn't.
The other team didn't do that.
Seems...
Yeah, that is very true. So the government basically comes down and says, hey, we think that this is too expensive.
Yeah.
These bombs, it's a whole thing. We've got to gather all the bats. We've got to learn to transport them. We got to put them to sleep. Thing. We got to put them to sleep.
This, we just got to split an atom. Boom. I mean,
it's like, so much easier to split the atom of a molecule than it is to get a bunch of bats.
And it's bad. Horrific, even. Alters the course of humanity for the rest of humanity.
Yeah.
But easier.
Yeah, but easier. Well, here's the crazy thing. And so they canned it. The reason they canned it, and I don't believe the cover story. I think what really happened is they're like, we got a better bomb. Cancel this project.
Yeah.
But the cover story is that they canceled it because of the cost, because it had burned at this point. Get ready for this. The total cost of this project was $2 million. And they said, that's too much. We spent too much money on this project.
How much did the atom bomb cost?
Way more than that. Way more than that.
How much atom bomb cost biceps?
Let's see. The atom bomb development cost was, it cost $2 billion.
No way.
Yeah, it costs
literally 1,000 times more.
Yeah. So it's funny because if you adjust it for inflation, the bat bomb cost $34 million in 2024.
Yeah.
If you adjust for inflation, the atom bomb cost $34 billion in 2024 to develop. And we said the bat bomb's too expensive.
It's too much. The bats.
The bats are too expensive.
This is kind of more Eleanor's thing, and now that Truman's in charge.
Yeah, I genuinely think what happened.
True Daddy wants to drop the bomb.
I genuinely think what happened is Truman came into power. Truman found out about the atomic bomb and was like, cancel the bat bomb thing. That's crazy.
He's like, we have this, but we also have bats.
And FDR was like, hey, that's my wife's friend. You got to let him down easy, okay? Like, we did that just because.
But didn't Truman come to power because FDR died?
In
your scenario, he's still there. You're like, he's still there, being like, hey. You're gonna be visited by 3 ghosts tonight about why the bats are the better solution than the atomic bomb. When the clock strikes high noon.
I don't think Truman.
It's high noon.
I forgot. Okay.
Yeah. So what do you mean? FDR wouldn't have left.
Yeah, you're right.
In mid-war, FDR was like, well, got this thing started. Time to go.
See you guys later. So yeah, FDR comes to Truman and is like, that's my wife's thing. You can't let that stop. You gotta make
Truman's
sure.
like, you're not here anymore.
And so he decides to let little Adams down easy and says, hey, sorry man, it's too
money.
Expensive.
Sure.
We can't keep doing that.
The buck stops here.
Yeah. We have no more bucks to put towards this. And so it ends up not being ever used in service, but it was developed, it was tested, and there was multiple versions of this, and it was deemed by research in the military that this was an effective weapon to be used in warfare. And genuinely, I think that there's an alternate universe where the atom bomb doesn't get developed in time, and we use this instead. Because this was seen as a much more effective weapon than the weapons that we were using at the time.
Do you think we'd have the nuclear treaties that we have now had we not dropped those bombs? You know what I'm saying? The atomic bombs? Because I think seeing what that was capable of was a turning point for the entire world.
But I think you still see that in tests. I think if people...
I don't think you see it to the magnitude of like you see a field destroyed, of course. But that's not as
tangible.
Yeah.
Maybe true. I don't know.
Had we dropped the bat bomb, that's what I'm saying is I think it would have taken someone else dropping the atomic or us dropping it somewhere other time.
Yeah.
For it to have reached the level of peace that we did.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
Because it does. I mean, after that, everyone was kind of like, well, we can't really do war anymore because this will be the end.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know. I would think that it would still be a thing just because of even if it's not used on anyone, you know the power of those things. You see it.
Yeah, but
I think a bat bomb.
What I'm saying is I think it's the thing where Truman, I think Truman said this later. It was like he regretted dropping the bombs.
Yeah.
Because like that's what I'm saying though, is that you knew the destruction it was going to cause. In theory, that's all theory.
Yeah.
But until it happens,
well, to be fair, I think
then the whole world agrees. The whole world comes together. Is like, so we're never doing that again.
I think part of that was Truman had some bad intel. I don't think he expected that to be as much civilian damage as was caused.
Of course. As far as like drop sites go.
Yeah.
But still damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
there
wonder.
might be something. There might be something there. I don't know.
I wonder how that would have changed history had the bat bomb
been the first. Been used. I don't know.
Maybe we could live to see the bat bomb used.
Yeah, maybe we can revive it. What I can say for sure is that Dr. Little was not a good person to put on a top secret mission because immediately he goes back to his practice and every patient, he's sitting over them.
He's like, I spent the last couple of years dropping dead bats in which is a crazy.
In the New Mexico desert. Yeah. We blew him up though.
I hate when they talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I came to Mexico beautiful this time of year.
I better than the atomic bomb.
I've always said that I don't understand why bats exist. Why did God make those things?
The rats of the sky.
I think God made them for such a time as this.
God designed these to carry tiny terrorist backpacks.
And so he talks so much about them that it was like the subject line of
Dr. Little's inventor is dead.
And so they have also I didn't say this yet, but this is very important. He was born in Paint Lick, Kentucky. That's the name of the town. Paint Lick. 2 words. Paint Lick. Crazy. And then they talk about his inventions, and one of them is the bat bomb in his obituary. He also it's on his grave.
Inventor of the airmail pickup system, bat warfare project, and aerial pellet seating.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it was a great idea, even if it didn't really get used very much. I respect it.
Wow. What's going to be on your tombstone?
Definitely nothing about bats. I don't know. That's the crazy thing. I was thinking about this in the last week's episode about Xi Jinping. He did so much stuff before he became the de facto ruler of China. I think that's the thing I think about a lot lately. Like, we still just have so much time left. Like, unless we screw ourselves up and we die early, like,
cut all this
maybe
out.
Maybe we can reinvent our life. Maybe we can reinvent our life. Other stuff can happen.
Just cut it all out. Just,
the most common age of homeless people or homeless men in the United
52.
States. Yeah. So there's still time to screw your life up.
That's the takeaway.
Or make it better. I don't know, but probably not.
Tim, stop talking. If you let Tim go long enough, he either starts talking about skylights or he makes it really sad. Wow. Well, that was a good way.
You didn't use your other balloon. I got you another balloon.
It's all the way over there.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Bummer.
It says get well soon.
It doesn't. But you'll never know.
I am happy to be here. I hope that my tombstone says a podcaster.
He was happy to be here.
He was happy to be here.
That's crazy.
Jaron Myers, happy to be here on my tombstone.
On your tombstone.
That's crazy. Nah, yours will say fiddle off.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, you're going to die before me for sure. Hey, if you like that episode, please share it with somebody. Tell somebody about this podcast. We've done 300 of these things now, and we've got plenty more. I think that means you have 300 to choose from to go back and listen to. One of them you can go back and listen or watch is Chrome Dome, where we used to just fly planes all over the world with nuclear bombs, just in case, It's just kind of like, maybe we'll drop one today. And all the accidental bomb droppings that happened with that story as well. So really, the whole thing is please share this show. Please help us keep growing it. If you want to help us grow it even faster, you can join us on Patreon. You're not missing out on a whole lot. You just get next week's episode for free or included and ad free, and you get to be part of our Discord. So, if you'd love to be part of that, that'd be great. It's a way to financially support the show. Anyway, we're just happy that you're here. Thanks to Alex for sitting through all this stuff for 200 something episodes. He joined pretty late, but he's been here for 290 something episodes. The first 10 I don't think he was really a part of, but for 290 episodes he's been here, so thanks to him. We've done 300 of these, and we're gonna do 5,000 more.
Oh my gosh,
we're never gonna stop doing this show. I promise, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, we're never gonna stop.
Yeah,
you're not allowed to stop.
I know. I'm not the one who's here against my will.